influences with JP Tuason?
Good influences. I grew up in a household where motorsports was really the topic at the dinner table. We talked about racing every day, and when my dad wasn't racing, when we lived in Canada, my dad would take the car out when it was snowy, and we would do like donuts. I think motorsport is not only in our blood, but was really our discussion on a daily basis. So we lived it, we breathed it. There was no way that I would get away from it or my brother would get away from it. Motorsports is, it's actually quite fickle. There's a lot of other factors that comes into play. So there's your team. If your team doesn't get the wheels right, they fall off. There is the vehicle, the car. Sometimes the parts are not good, stuff breaks. You could be on pole position, but not win the race. And I think this is what makes it, for me, very exciting. You can be the best driver, but there's so many factors that leads into whether you're gonna win a race or not. When you say all types of racing, we've done rally crosses, a little bit of slaloms and autocrosses, we've done drifting, we've done many forms of motorsport, but I really like circuit racing. For me, it's one of the purest forms of racing because very simply, it's either you win or you lose. So there could be 20 of you guys on the grid, only one guy is gonna get to the checkered flag first. For me, it's circuit racing and nothing else. I think motorsports is dangerous. When we do the classes, that's actually our first slide. We tell people it's dangerous, but that's exactly the reason why people want to do it. If you're going to do something that wasn't dangerous or exciting, then maybe it wasn't worth doing. I think a lot has changed in the last 20 years. So in February of this year, TRS has actually gone on to 20 years. And in 20 years, what we've realized is the biggest change that we've seen is creating a career path for the young drivers. So we're here not only to train the drivers, but now to show drivers how to make it not only in the Philippines, but possibly in Asia and the whole world. We started the school in 1999 with my wife and my younger brother. And it was really born out of a lot of passion for motorsports. What we wanted to do was create a motorsport industry in the Philippines and create a career path for all of the aspiring race car drivers in the country. I think the most common answer to that in motorsports is funding. I had a great childhood. My dad loved racing. I was basically sponsored by dad for most of my formative years in motorsport. When I was 20, my father passed away. I just loved motorsports. I wanted to stay in it. So I had to quickly learn how to generate sponsorship. I first started with family and friends, and that didn't go very far. So I ended up calling on a lot of corporate partners. And what I was able to figure out is how to leverage sponsorship media into local motorsport. And I was successful enough to be able to get into single-seaters, eventually into Asian Formula 3. And what I learned from my motorsport days has translated directly into the race school and now the race series that we organize. I think that's very simple. My dad really was my inspiration to be in motorsports. He was basically everybody's local racing idol. He was quick. He had always something to say. I want to thank him for everything I know. Every time we do a class, I always go back to a quote that my dad used to say to me when we were younger. This quote was, to finish first, you must first finish. And he always talked about driving slowly to become fast. One of the greatest achievements that I was able to do on my own was to get into Formula 3. It's always been a dream of mine to drive single-seaters. It was such a great experience to be able to race all around Asia, to be able to get on tracks that people only dreamed of driving, and to be able to drive the equipment that we had has become the also sort of the basis for creating a successful race series. We've seen what worked, what didn't work, and with the Formula V1 program that we're doing now, we're trying to avoid all the pitfalls. Triathlon is it's a fantastic sport, and I say this because you're there with 3,000 other guys, but you're not competing against them, you're competing against yourself. It's really about pushing yourself to certain limits that you need to be comfortable with. The amount of discipline needed to do a triathlon in a safe and quick way, I think, is very similar to motorsports, and I do it because I miss the adrenaline, the rush, the excitement. And in the Philippines, you know, we've been running the school 20 years. The worst thing I could do is race against my students. So what's the next best thing? I think it's the triathlons. Recently, we've discovered snowboarding and skiing, and I tell you, wow. If I could go back years in time, I would probably like to take up snowboarding or skiing on a more professional basis. Wow, that's a really great question. At this point in time, I actually look back and I'm very grateful with all the opportunities that have been given to myself, not only to race all these different things around the world. I want to share that with everybody in the Philippines and in Southeast Asia as we expand. And would I do it all the same? I would. It's been an amazing, amazing ride, and it isn't over yet. The advice that I would give to aspiring race car drivers is go get educated. The best investment that you can make is to learn how to race properly, because really one accident in one of these cars will cost more than months and months of getting race training. For anybody out there that wants to learn how to get into motorsport, start with a school or get a trainer and do it properly.
Okay, JP, I'm going to show you 3 pictures from your Instagram account. Just short description of each one. Here's the first one.
Oh my God, tired. I was tired, man. That was the Ironman in Cebu, and my legs were dying, bro. Dying.
Okay, here's the next one.
Santorini. That was the best honeymoon ever.
And lastly?
Yeah, so this is the race for the Formula V1 opening for this series, and it was one crazy race. Lots of dicing, great drivers. We even had a car upside down. Great weekend, more to come. From this point forward, we believe that locally, we're going to start bringing in the next step car for single-seaters. It's called the CS2. We are partnered with the manufacturers for that, and that'll be coming in 2021. For TRS in general, we're now looking to expand across Southeast Asia. We'll see you guys at a racetrack near you.